A lone explorer, hearing whispers of an undiscovered world beneath Vietnam, ventures into the depths of Phong Naku Bang National Park. The discovery. The jungle was alive with whispers. Leaves trembled under the weight of unseen creatures, and the air, thick with the scent of damp earth, carried the echoes of 1,000 mysteries. Ho Khanh, a seasoned hunter, moved cautiously through the dense undergrowth, his breath measured, his every step deliberate. He had walked these forests all his life, but something about this morning felt different, an unshakable pull, a beckoning from the unknown. The sky darkened as storm clouds coiled above the towering limestone mountains of Phong Naku Bang. Thunder rumbled, distant yet menacing. The promise of rain urged Ho Khanh to seek shelter, and just as he veered off his usual path, his eyes caught something unusual, a fracture in the rock face, half-veiled by creeping vines. A gust of wind surged from within the crevice, cold and unnatural, carrying with it a scent unlike anything from the jungle. Curiosity gnawed at him. Pushing aside the tangled vines, he peered into the abyss beyond. The cave mouth yawned wide, an entrance to something ancient, something forgotten. A single step forward. Then another. The air shifted, swallowing the outside world behind him. Darkness enveloped him, thick and all-consuming. The walls, slick with moisture, pulsed with an eerie stillness. A distant roar, low and resonant, stirred beneath his feet, a river, deep within the earth. Ho Khanh had sought shelter, but what he had found was something else entirely. The deeper he ventured, the more the cave seemed to breathe around him. His footsteps echoed, stretching into unseen corridors. Then, suddenly, a glow, a soft, spectral shimmer filtering from above. His eyes adjusted, widening in disbelief. Before him stretched an expanse unlike anything he had ever imagined. Stalagmites rose like ancient sentinels, their jagged forms casting long, shifting shadows. Moss clung to stone in vibrant patches, illuminated by beams of ethereal light spilling through a collapsed ceiling far above. And there, at the cavern's heart, mist curled like a living thing, twisting over an underground river that vanished into the unknown. This was no ordinary cave. His pulse quickened. The stories, tales whispered by elders about a lost world beneath the mountains, rushed back to him. He had always dismissed them as folklore, cautionary myths to keep children from wandering too far. But now, standing in the belly of something so vast, so untouched by time, he felt the weight of truth settle over him. A sharp crack snapped him from his reverie. A rock dislodged, tumbling into the depths. The earth seemed to exhale, as if shifting in its sleep. Panic flickered in his chest. He had seen enough. Turning swiftly, he retraced his steps, each moment stretching unbearably. The cave, once welcoming, now pressed in on him. The mouth of the entrance was smaller than he remembered, the vines framing it like grasping fingers. Emerging into the rain-soaked jungle, he inhaled sharply. The storm had broken, rain hammering against the leaves, drenching the earth in its fury. But Ho Khanh barely noticed. He had seen something impossible, something not meant to be found. He would not speak of it. Not yet. The jungle had its secrets, and some were best left undisturbed. Years passed. The memory of the cavern lingered in Ho Khan's mind like a dream half-remembered, vivid yet elusive. He searched for it again, but the path was never the same. The forest shifted, concealing its hidden veins. The cave, it seemed, had swallowed itself whole. Then, in 2009, a team of British explorers arrived, armed with maps, equipment, and an insatiable thirst for the unknown. They listened to his story, studied his recollections, and set out into the jungle, determined to uncover what had remained lost for so long. And this time, the cave would not remain hidden. The descent. The jungle parted reluctantly, vines curling like sentries unwilling to grant passage. Howard Limbert adjusted the straps of his pack, eyes scanning the dense green labyrinth that stretched before him. Behind him, his team moved with quiet precision, each step a measured defiance against the unknown. The air was heavy with the scent of rain and earth, thick with the hum of unseen creatures. Ho Khanh, their guide, walked ahead, his movements confident yet reverent. This was his world, and yet even he had never ventured this deep since that fateful day. Now, after years of silence, the cave had called him back. The moment they saw it, jagged rock, half swallowed by the jungle, the breath of cool air exhaling from its depths, Howard felt the weight of discovery settle upon him. Hang Son Doong. The Lost Cave. The entrance yawned like the mouth of a sleeping beast. Darkness pooled inside, impenetrable. Howard switched on his headlamp, the beam cutting through the void. This was no ordinary descent. What lay beyond had never been mapped, never been named. One by one, they began their journey downward. The first few meters were manageable, loose rock, slick stone, but then the true descent began. A sheer drop, nearly 80 meters, loomed ahead. The team fastened their ropes, double-checked harnesses, and one by one, they lowered themselves into the abyss. Howard went last. The moment his boots left solid ground, the jungle disappeared above him, swallowed by the darkness. The rope creaked under his weight as he descended, the cave swallowing him inch by inch. Below, voices echoed in strange, warped distortions. When his feet finally met solid ground, the breath caught in his throat. The cavern stretched beyond the reach of his headlamp, the beam swallowed by the sheer scale of it. Stalagmites, taller than buildings, loomed in the distance, their jagged peaks shrouded in mist. The air was damp, thick with the scent of ancient stone and something else, something untouched by time. The ground trembled faintly beneath his boots. Somewhere ahead, water moved, an underground river carving its path through the belly of the earth. The team pressed forward. The deeper they ventured, the more alien the world became. Sunlight, piercing through a collapsed ceiling high above, illuminated patches of green, moss, ferns, even trees, thriving in this underground void. The cavern had created its own ecosystem, its own laws of existence. Howard reached out, his fingers brushing against rock formations older than civilization itself. He felt like an intruder, an uninvited guest in a kingdom ruled by time. Then, a sound, low, distant, a whisper carried by unseen currents. He stilled, breath halting. The others heard it too. The cave was speaking, not in words, but in movements. Water shifting, air pressing through unseen chambers, rock settling as it had for millions of years. The passage ahead narrowed, forcing them to squeeze through jagged openings. Each step forward was a promise, to push past fear, past doubt, into the unknown. Then, the cavern widened again, and what lay before them stole their breath. An underground lake, its surface like polished obsidian, stretched before them. Mist curled over it like ghostly tendrils, hiding its true depths. A stone bridge, ancient and crumbling, arched over the black water, leading to another chamber beyond. Howard swallowed, his pulse a steady drumbeat in his ears. They had only just begun. And the cave was waiting. The abyss and the truth. The cavern breathed. It was not a sound, not even a movement, but a presence, a slow, unshakable awareness that wrapped itself around the team as they stood at the lake's edge. Howard Limbert tightened his grip on his pack. The black water stretched before them, smooth and silent, an obsidian mirror reflecting the cathedral of stone above. It was impossible to tell its depth, how far it sank into the veins of the earth. The bridge was their only way forward. Ancient and crumbling, it curved over the water like the remains of some forgotten pathway. Each step across it felt like a trespass. Beneath their boots, the rock shifted. A quiet crack, a sound so soft it could have been mistaken for a whisper. The team halted, breath held in unison. Then, silence. Howard exhaled slowly and pressed forward. Beyond the bridge, the cavern opened into something even more impossible. A jungle. Not the damp, tangled overgrowth of the surface, but a world born in darkness and shaped by time. Trees stretched toward the cavern's roof, their leaves catching the dim shafts of light filtering through the dolines above. Moss clung to every surface, drinking in the perpetual mist that curled through the chamber. Strange, pale insects skittered across stones, their existence a testament to adaptation in this sunless world. Howard ran a hand over a stone pillar, its surface marked by something unexpected. Patterns, etchings. Not natural, not random. Deliberate. He stepped back, his headlamp tracing the wall. The markings spread across the cavern, faint but undeniable. "Someone was here before us," he murmured. The words felt heavy, swallowed by the vastness of the chamber. One of the team members, a geologist, knelt beside a cluster of fossils embedded in the stone. Ancient shells, long-extinct creatures frozen in time. But beneath them, something stranger, a shape not quite natural, not quite geological. A silence settled over them. The cave was old. That much they knew. But this suggested something more. Something lost. A shiver crawled up Howard's spine. They had come seeking the unknown, and now they had found it. Ahead, the cavern sloped downward, leading into a darkness so thick it seemed to absorb light. The river ran alongside it, disappearing into a tunnel barely wide enough to squeeze through. They had a choice. Turn back, return with their discoveries, or push forward into the abyss. The decision was silent, unspoken. They secured their gear, checked their lights, and stepped into the blackness. The tunnel walls pressed close, the sound of dripping water amplified in the confined space. Their breaths were loud, heartbeat fast. The air was colder here, sharper, carrying the scent of minerals and something older, something nameless. The passage twisted, narrowed, then suddenly released them into a chamber so vast it swallowed sound. Howard's headlamp caught the ceiling. Far, far above, a dome of rock and time. And then, something else. Bones. Scattered along the cavern floor, half buried in the stone, bleached and brittle. Some were small, remnants of creatures long extinct. But others were larger. Not human, not entirely recognizable. Howard's pulse thundered. The geologist crouched, brushing dust from one of the larger skulls. It was elongated, almost serpentine, its eye sockets hollow and deep. No one spoke. In that moment, standing in the heart of Hang Son Doong, surrounded by the remains of something time had forgotten, they understood. This cave had kept its secrets for millions of years. And some things were never meant to be unearthed. Return and legacy. The air inside the cavern was still. Too still. Howard Limbert's breath came slow and measured, his pulse a steady drumbeat in his ears. The bones, ancient, scattered, half swallowed by time, rested in eerie silence. His team stood frozen, their headlamps casting trembling beams across the cavern floor. The weight of their discovery pressed upon them like the stone ceiling high above. They had ventured into the unknown. Now, the unknown was looking back. A distant sound, low and guttural, stirred the silence. Not a voice, not quite an echo, but something deeper, a shift in the cave itself, as if the earth had taken notice of their presence. Howard exhaled sharply. "We move. Now." The team obeyed without hesitation. Their footsteps, once cautious and deliberate, now carried urgency. They retraced their path, weaving through the stone giants, past the fossilized remains of creatures long forgotten. Each step felt heavier, the cave's presence pressing against them, urging them to leave. The tunnel loomed ahead, a jagged mouth leading back toward the river chamber. But something had changed. The air was different, thicker, charged with something unseen. The underground river had risen. The once passable stone path now sat partially submerged, its surface slick and treacherous. Howard's jaw tightened. No choice. We cross. The first step sent ripples across the black water. The current, slow but insistent, pulled at their legs as they waded through. Their movements disturbed the mist, curling it into ghostly tendrils that clung to their skin. Halfway across, the cavern trembled. A deep groan reverberated through the stone, a warning from the earth itself. Then, a crack, sharp, sudden. Above them, the ceiling shifted. A chunk of rock, dislodged from its ancient perch, plummeted into the river with a force that sent waves crashing against the walls. Water sloshed against their knees. The air filled with dust and falling debris. Move! They surged forward, slipping, scrambling, their breath ragged. The tunnel entrance loomed just ahead, but the cave was closing in. Another tremor rattled the walls. The path behind them collapsed, swallowed by the rising river. Howard reached the tunnel first, pulling himself onto solid ground. One by one, his team followed, hands grasping, pulling, until they were all safe. They turned back only once. The cavern, vast, ancient, and now forever altered, glistened under the last flickers of their lights. The fossils, the strange etchings, the towering formations, all of it untouched for millions of years, now lay in shifting silence. The water lapped hungrily at the fallen stone, as if erasing the evidence of their intrusion. No one spoke as they climbed, as they ascended the final rope toward the surface. The jungle's humidity wrapped around them the moment they emerged, the sounds of life, birds, insects, the rustling of leaves, almost deafening after the cave's oppressive silence. Howard turned back, staring at the cave's entrance, now just another shadow among the rocks. He thought of the bones, the carvings, the feeling of something watching from the dark. Some discoveries changed the world. Others were never meant to be known. Hang Son Doong remained. It would outlast them, outlast time itself. And whatever secrets it held would wait, untouched, for those who dared to seek them again.